Hello, my name is Shalom Israel Camus, and today I will be presenting my 7th grade science fair project, Freech. Did you Freech today? Freech is a chatting application for free speech. Do you get it? Now, why would I choose a chatting application? There's a multitude of reasons, but mainly it was for an alternative for the big chatting softwares already out there. When I ask you what chatting software you use, you would probably say Facebook or Twitter. Although they aren't only for chats, they are big softwares which we use to post and talk about our life with our friends and random strangers we don't even know. But my place will be a place with free speech on the internet. This is important because although the Constitution says we have free speech, Facebook and Twitter are not government-owned operations, meaning that they can pick their own rules. As such, they can censor stuff which they don't like. With that in mind, what kind of software would I want Freech to be? Freech should be a chat software with a main place for all users to use, no matter who you are. It should also be easy to use with easy navigation, and it should be free. Now, my problem. Can I actually create an online website like Facebook or Twitter in a matter of weeks? My hypothesis? Yes, a 7th grader can make a chatting software. The materials. The materials I need to get are fairly easy to get, considering that they're on the internet and you don't need to go to dollar stores to get them. With that in mind, to create a chatting software, I need a web host, which I'm using Bluehost. Bluehost basically allows you to have your own space on the internet. I would need a database, MySQL, and in MySQL, you would store data there. I would also need a social media application, HumHub. HumHub is where you actually chat. I will also be coding software from scratch. This is just to find out how it actually works, not for public purposes. For this, I would need a web host, a database, and a file editor. Now, most people use Notepad or Notepad++ as their file editor, but I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code, as it is more associated with coding, and as it is something which I would need to get used to for a different summer project. The challenges? Well, I'm a 7th grader, so cost is going to be a big challenge. I don't have a lot of pocket money, and it also needs to be simple. I have to understand it in order for this to work. This project features tons and tons of research, mainly for social media applications. I checked out so many of them, and there are tons more details about this in my project report. HumHub was the site we ended up using in the end. The site I ended up using in the end. The results. First, it's the app cost. Obviously, lower is better. As you can see, there are quite a few which are low costed, but some of them can be almost $800. For that one in particular, it's because the personal options didn't actually have a set price, so I had to go with the business option. It shows you just how much Facebook and Twitter actually have to pay if they use one of these. Now, which apps are done with their testing? There are 2 phases of testing, alpha and beta. If you didn't know, alpha is the Greek letter A, and beta is the Greek letter B or something like that, the first and second letter. There Most of the softwares we looked up are all done with their testing. But unfortunately, Flareum is still in its beta testing, and that's why we didn't use it. Which software has the highest percentage of easiness? Obviously, this is just based on me, on what I felt was the easiest, but it's honestly something which relates closely to every single person. For me, Simple Machines Forum, or SMF as you see on the pie chart, was only 10% easy. I gave it 10% because it was really difficult. There were all sorts of tabs and all of them were placed in random locations. MyBB is 20% easy, and this is because it was very simple. It had very little things you had to customize, and it was very, very organized. PHPBB is located somewhere in the middle of SMF and MyBB. Finally, we have HumHub. HumHub is incredibly easy, considering that when you go into Administrator, you're all set. All you need to do is administrate, honestly. This is setting up the actual software for each. To do that, you need to download HumHub code. Once you download HumHub code, you need to move that download file into the web host. As I said, we used Bluehost as our web host. There is so much more information about this on the project report, and it's not really what I'm going to be focusing on. I will focus on, however, code, as coding is what I love most. Now, a lot of people came over to test my stuff. First off is Nathaniel Dumas. He said that it looked good, which was really nice, but he wanted to play Minecraft, so he didn't say much more on the website. JP. Now, JP said a lot about the site, although not particularly always in words. He did say that it was cool, but what I was most impressed with was how quickly he learned to use the site. It was crazy. One day I log on and see that JP was on there. The next day morning I log on and there's 2 groups JP has created. It was remarkable, honestly. Grandpa Steve, a family friend, he was one of the main reasons why I even started thinking of creating a site like this in the first place. It was because of him that I started to think about how Facebook and Twitter are censoring and are limiting the free speech we actually have. He couldn't wait to use this, and he suggested that I added a notifications bell, as most Americans like notifications on. Now, Nathaniel Camus, my brother, he said that it was a great site, and he couldn't wait to start using it. The biblical worldview. First, it's the Great Commission. Go ye therefore, and teach all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Matthew 28:19. With the freedom of speech, it has become legal to teach all the nations. Unfortunately, we don't have the same level of freedom on the internet. This is where my chatting software could help. Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he was old, he will not depart from it. The freedom to teach what you believe should be accessible on the internet as well as off of the internet, as many other things are. By creating a chatting software, I am increasing the freedom we have on the internet. Finally, Esther 4:14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall there enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come into a kingdom for such a time as this? In this passage, Mordecai is telling Esther to tell the king about Haman's plot against the Jews, as Esther is the queen. She was afraid to speak freely because of the consequences she could face. On my app, however, there are no consequences for sharing your views. My chat application. This section is going to focus on the code. How do chat applications even work? To start off, we start off with Bluehost. Bluehost is basically what hosts my chatting software. With it, I can create databases and I can do much, much more. Bluehost isn't just for this, but it is what I used it for. The HTML code. First, we open HTML and we close HTML. This is standard for HTML, and it's how anything in HTML works. As you can see, the opening and closing of most things in HTML are fairly identical. The style section. It starts off by opening style and then creating a body section. This area will affect only the body. What it does is it basically puts a background color, a gradient color, affecting from bottom 0% to top 100%. These numbers are just what colors they should be. Then you have the div section. This is affecting where you can scroll and how far you can scroll. It's also changing the color to ivory. Then we close the style. Next, we have the form. This one opens with a specific method in mind, the post method. Then it puts in a username section. This one is where you would type in your username. Then the Freech section, or the chatting section. Here we have the chat box. After that, we have the submission box. This one just submits our code. And it closes the form. But where does it submit it to? On MySQL, there's a table. That is the database. This database includes the username, the message, the ID, and the timestamp. Now, the opening and closing of PHP. As you can see, very, very simple stuff. It does open and close in a different way than HTML, as it isn't HTML. It's just a different coding language which can be used with HTML. Now, the identification. Some of this, as you can see, the server name, database name, username, and password, they're all blurred out because I don't want people to hack my site. Then it says connect using the server name, username, password, and database name. This one just tries to connect to it. It starts off by connecting and finding out if there's a connection error. Then, once it's connected, it posts whatever you've put into the message and username box. This goes into the table I told you about earlier. This next section takes all of the messages from the table and puts them onto the page, right up for everyone to see. Then it puts in exactly how many roles this affects, and that's basically all this entire code does. But in this code, you'll see this. This is SQL. SQL is what is actually grabbing the data from the table. Now it's time for the demo. Here is the table I told you about. As you can see, we have all of the messages I've ever written in here. here is the actual chatting software. First, you go in and you type in whatever you want. My username, as per code, gets saved. I can type in, this is a demo. And then, as custom to all code, hello world. Once you do that, you can click submit. Scroll to the bottom, and here you have it. This is a demo, hello world. Next, the real application. This is located at freech.simplylogic.org. Right now, I am in the directory. This directory shows exactly where the spaces are, the posts, and everything else to do with that. Then we have a dashboard which basically shows all of the new posts, and we have the spaces where you can post stuff. You can also post and some profile updates, testing Freech, and if you wanted, you could always delete any post you want. Well, finally, this is my website. If you want to go to it, go into your favorite browser and type in freech.simplylogic.org and sign up into my website. Will you Freech today? Thank you.